Hey friends, it's Jill here with the Hometown Homestead, and today's topic is going to be the battle of the canners. Which one is fastest between the All-American, which you can see behind me, and the Presto Digital Electric Canner, which is my new recent purchase from the Facebook Marketplace. It might be my best score of all time, and I love scouring that thing for deals, but I found this. It had been used once and it was less than half price on the Facebook Marketplace. So I had to scoop it up before somebody else did. And if you want to see what happens when I put them side by side for a comparison and how to use them, ease of use, as well as how long it takes to can the exact same item in both canners, hang out because I think you're going to like what's in store for today. Now, I have canned a lot of food in both of these canners at this point. So I wanted to run a test side by side with beans and see which one was going to come out a little bit faster, or if there would be any difference in the processing times, as well as ease of use, and maybe which one would be easiest for a new canner. Now, both of these are high-end canners. The All-American is kind of an heirloom quality piece, so there's a little bit that goes into that. And the Presto Digital is something that is new and super easy to use. Neither one of these are necessary to get into canning. Actually, recently, I was taking some things up to our local donation point, and when we don't, or when we want to give something away, but we're open to the people in our local community grabbing it before it goes into the trucks and shipped off, we set them outside of our bins. And recently there was a Presto Original, like the 23 quart, sitting outside of that donation bin, and I immediately scooped that thing up and I gave it to a friend who was new to canning, because I actually canned my first loads ever on a Presto 23 quart, and it was so super easy to use. The lid was easier than my All-American and all of those things that go into it. So if you come across an older canner, just make sure all the parts are there and get it checked out at your local county extension office. Make sure your gauges are right and all of those things, and you'll be good to go. Or if you're in the market for another one that's really nice but not going to be as expensive as the two I have here, 4 Jars has a new canner out that looks truly amazing. I love all of their products. Their lids have never let me down, and I would highly recommend checking that one out too. But if you're in the market for a higher end product, something like I said that's going to be able to be passed down for generations, or something that's just going to make your life a lot easier, the Presto Digital Electric and the All-American canners are absolutely fabulous. So before I get into the results, I'm going to go over some of my biggest takeaways from the two that I have here, and some things you might want to consider if you're looking at buying either one. The Presto Digital is hands down easier to use and less intimidating for somebody that is newer to canning. It tells you everything to do on its digital screen. It tells you when you need, it warms the jars for you. It tells you when it's time to add the weight. It goes all the way through the process, and it handles the cool down process without you even being involved. So if you're looking for something that's a little more hands off, and something that you could even trust if you wanted to go run a quick errand in town and not have to worry about babysitting it the whole time, an electric digital canner is something you might want to consider. The lid is super easy and simple to lock in place, and you can process 5 quarts or 7 pint jars in this canner at one time. Not both, but either or at one processing time. The added bonus here is it won't take up your stovetop, and it's relatively quiet, which is really different than my All-American when you're used to hearing that weight rocking and rolling the whole time it's processing. Once the Presto Digital comes up to its pressure and the weight is on, all you will hear is the quiet little sound of boiling water. So if you have a really open kitchen to the rest of your house, or you do entertaining at the same time and want to just make this part of your, part of your processing, your easier everyday life, the Presto Digital is going to win there for you when it comes to quiet and ease of use, as well as safety. If you want to be able to run a quick errand, you wouldn't want to leave that All-American back there on the stove rocking and rolling without anybody here to check on it. So Presto Digital is going to win that one for you. That said, like I mentioned, that All-American is an heirloom quality piece. It's going to be able to be handed down for generations. That thing is huge and heavy. There are no gaskets. There are no gauges to check. As long as you have your weight, which you could order new pieces if one were to get lost, you are good to go. The one I have is the 930. I got this one because I like to do a lot at the same time. I like to do multiple things at the same time. Several different kinds of meats, for example, is something that I like to pack in there. And I also like to do different vegetables as long as they have the same processing time. So one canner load can do a whole lot of food for me. And with that specific 930, I can do 19 pints or 14 quarts at one processing time. So as you can see, I can double up what I do here back there. Now, if this one's a huge time savings, that might not matter. Or if you're only doing smaller quantities, this is definitely a great choice. But if you're doing a whole lot of food, that one is super important to have in your stash. Now, for me, I like to do a lot of stuff at one time, which is why I was looking to buy a second canner. I was really not looking for a digital, but when I found this one at such a steal and I'd heard such great things about it, I thought it was the perfect addition to our kitchen and to our preservation methods. One other difference is that whereas I said that one would last a lifetime, with the digital, it is an electric appliance. So I don't know what the longevity of this is going to be. In 20 years, it might still be working. It might quit in 10. And I've invested all this money. The full retail on this is around $320. So if you've invested that retail in something that might or might not have the same or similar longevity, that is a gamble. So the All-American definitely wins the staying power test in my mind, even if this one might last me 20 or 30 years. That one, there is nothing to go wrong with it. It's good to go for generations and generations. Now, the All-American that I have, like I said, is the 930. They do offer varied sizes. So they offer one similar to this, and it has a closer price point to this. So that one is a little bit more expensive, but like I said, it's just going to depend on what you need for your home and how you're actually processing, preserving, and putting away food. Okay, so it's time for the results of my side-by-side comparison between the Presto and the All-American. The All-American lid went on at 11 o'clock on the dot, and my steady stream of steam started at 11:18. Now I had to let that go for 10 minutes before adding the weight, which I added at 11:30. My first jiggle was at 11:52, and my timer was turned on at that point with my burner being turned off at 1:08. The pressure came back to 0 at 1:56, lid off at 2 o'clock, and jars out at 2:05. The total time of processing was 3 hours and 5 minutes for 19 pint jars. So a lot of food, but how would it correlate to the time with the Presto? All right, so my lid went on at 2:24, and I will say this lid is way easier to install. So if you're looking for ease, again, it's got to go to the Presto. My steady stream came at 3:27 and being told to put the weight on at 2:47. My timer was up at 4:10 and it took until 5:24 to cool. So it took an hour and 30 minutes for this machine to cool enough for the lid to be removed. My jars came out at 5:26. Total time on the Presto Digital was 3 hours and 2 minutes, but it was only for 7 jars. So again, the biggest difference is going to come in how much production you need, as well as what you're looking for. Are you looking for ease, or are you looking for a bulk production? At my house, I need both. So on this specific day where I did these, I have both of them running nonstop. So it really is just dependent on the home itself. The Presto was 3 minutes faster. So my answer to which one you need is going to vary on who you are, but my answer for which one I need is both. I love having the ability to run my canner over here away from my stove and have my stove still being able to be fully functional if I'm in the process of making dinner or something else, or running the second canner. I hope this side-by-side comparison of both of the canners has helped some of you out who are looking into some of the higher end models of canners on the market right now for use with ease and versatility, as well as just being a workhorse in the kitchen. Now, if you are interested in more canning content, make sure to subscribe to the page. And if you have any comments, leave them below. I'm going to be putting out quite a bit of canning content come January. So if you're looking to learn more about canning, make sure to hang out because there's some really good things coming around the corner. If you're interested in anything homemade, homegrown, or homeschooled, this is your place. And I thank you for stopping by and spending a little time with me today. Bye, friends.